Okay, so it's been kind of a while, but let's bring this channel back to its roots a bit. And I'm just going to look through everything I've drawn in the year of 2024. There's going to be a lot of probably weird drawings like this that I probably did for Instagram or something. Animation and storyboards and like all kinds of things. I honestly don't even remember, so I'm just going to go through this and see what I can find, basically. So there's going to be a lot of Simpsons stuff, probably. There's probably going to be a lot of naked Homers, actually, that I might need to censor or cut out or something. I'm honestly not sure. These Simpsons drawings do get a bit crazy. Uh, so this is like, I don't know how many Simpsons drawings are going to be in here. Here's obviously Buff Bart, really awesome looking Lisa. You can stylize them in so many different ways. For example, here's Marge giving birth. This is the origin. Wait, okay, I guess this is going to be the first tangent, because I guess maybe this was 2024, the Damsons. So this is the Damsons basement creature. When I drew this, there wasn't any kind of plan, but it did turn into an actual thing. Let me find this. So this was made just after I went to an animation festival in France, and I decided I had to kind of finish something. So I put all my weird Simpsons drawings together, and I guess as I go through the drawings again, there'll be like the inspirations for stuff that turned into scenes in this. But this is the making of the Damsons a little bit, and here's the Homer creature in the basement. I guess I should try and find some of the actual Clip Studio files. This is mostly just backgrounds and that kind of thing. So here's rough animation, or the line art, I guess. This was all done in Toon Boom. And this is the one that I rotoscoped. I'll try and find the video that I rotoscoped over, because I just think it's really funny, and I got like a ketchup stain on my shirt or something. So I guess I'll just put a link to the Damsons if you want to watch the whole thing. It is on YouTube. It doesn't have that many views or anything. Here's a clip of me saying, "You know it's a mega poo when you get that tsunami splashback." But Homer knows something about the creature in the basement, and Bart's just watching TV, and then Homer comes out, and he's kind of sneaking around, and he grabs Bart, and he throws him into the basement, and Bart looks around, and so this is just, I switched between Toon Boom and Clip Studio. I guess I'll show the files for these, but this was just one big drawing that I did in Clip Studio. I think all the backgrounds are done in Clip Studio, while all the animation is done in Toon Boom, because I pretty much made this to learn Toon Boom specifically. And there's the Homer creature. He's just kind of breathing, and then Bart realizes something about the Homer creature as well, and he licks his lips, and then he's pretty happy. And then it ends like this. You can see Marge is dead right here, and he turns into Snailhead Homer. I guess that's another 2024 drawing. This is me as a Simpsons character on the wall as well. This is the animatic. So it was really rough. I think I just made this in literally like half an hour, maybe less. And it pretty much remained completely unchanged, except obviously a lot less rough. I think the last shot I changed because I realized here's the storyboard for the panning basement scene. As long as you know what you're trying to do, you can make it basically as rough as possible. And then the final shot was going to be different, with Marge like dead in this hallway, but I realized that the other living room shot, and so I just reuse it at that point. So I guess we'll move on. That was the Damsons. You can watch it on YouTube if you'd like. It's only like a minute long. And then here's where I started doing the Instagram stories. I think I just decided every day I'll post something on Instagram, and it would just be an excuse to be drawing every day and to have something finished every day, instead of just having every now and then a finished thing. Like every day put out something more or less finished, even if it's kind of rough. So there's going to be a lot of Simpsons and a lot of Overwatch, and just kind of making it up as I go along. I do quite like this Miku. I feel like I'm just not very good at drawing quickly or consistently. Like, this is pretty ugly. I think I ended up deleting this one because it's just bad. And part of me doing this was I just wanted to be more consistent, and there are people who can do something very, very quickly with very, very few lines that still ends up looking really good. And I am just not that great at that, so I wanted to focus on it more. And honestly, this stuff, as stupid as this is, was kind of my priority, because for a storyboard, you want to be able to draw something that communicates something, but still looks kind of on model extremely fast. And I think I've improved at that a lot by drawing just really stupid, funny stuff as soon as I wake up. You know, there's no pressure to make anything good. Just kind of draw Homer with some weird feet. And I had this whole like story planned out where like Homer Simpson is married to Pim from Smiling Friends, and Diva from Overwatch and Charlie from Smiling Friends are dating each other, and Bart's like this abused child. So I think this is maybe like in the Damsons universe, where it's like this version of Bart who just gets like abused. And then we've got a pretty cool looking Ryuko up there. And so you could see here's the proposal where Homer's proposing to Pym. And again, Bart's just left out. Oh, I think this is the only appearance these two make where where Alan from Smiling Friends is dating the Ryuko plush character that isn't a character because she never shows up again. This is Kiriko after going to Tesco's. Pretty cool. This one, I wanted to draw something kind of cool and more like a manga style, but I don't really think it worked. Here's kind of a cool one. I definitely had a thing for drawing Smiling Friends at this point. I haven't seen Smiling Friends Season 3, and I think it's either close to finishing or maybe finished by now, so I really need to get on that. You can see the story continues. Homer's now pregnant with Pym's child. I guess maybe Alan broke up with Ryuko plush, but they all seem pretty happy about it. So that's nice to know. The Smiling Friends killing Harry Hill. There's a few Smiling Friends comics in here. Oh, here's another kind of side story that I also never came back to, where Marge has like adopted Junkrat and Robothog. I think I'm the only person on the planet doing Overwatch fan art. Definitely the only person on the planet doing Overwatch cross Simpsons cross Smiling Friends fan art, I would think. This one's actually kind of cute. I like this one. I wanted, for some reason, I wanted like Charlie and Diva to have like this wholesome relationship. And I was like actually kind of invested in it for a while. I don't even know why. Okay, a little bit of a jump because I actually missed some really important stuff. This is from a whole animation I did. So let me find that. Is it just called Untitled Final V2 probably? So this is a whole fight scene I did, and I took a lot of inspiration from Bleach in particular. A lot of these shots are inspired by, you know, Bleach and action anime in general. And I think this is pretty cool. I think some of these parts, like that part where he gets the sword knocked out of his hand and then he kind of punches down and hits her shield. I think this is pretty cool, and I use that 3D building model to get some more dynamic camera angles and that kind of thing. And overall, I think this was pretty successful, although a lot of the times the characters don't look the best. I think for a little fight scene, pretty cool. You know, I think, where is it, like right here? Like that's pretty terrible drawing, but in terms of storyboarding, your drawings don't always need to be the best. But I did also make, inspired by the work of the Line Animation Studio in particular, which is, you know, kind of a dream job for me to be able to work with them. I made this car animation, and it was going to be like this whole long Lupin the Third thing. I don't even remember most of this. I guess there was going to be some characters. There's probably multiple different versions of this same thing. A lot of shots that I planned out, and not a ton that I actually ended up making. I ultimately decided to keep things a bit simple and just focus on one specific shot, which is this one here, and I guess like a version I changed quite significantly of that shot. So I guess this is the actual animation I made. So very dynamic camera angles. I think the camera follows that missile all the way down, and then there's a big explosion and the car does some cool stuff. And although I cut out, I guess, most of what I was planning here, it was going to be a whole like, so it's Lupin the Third, so like Jigen was gonna be up in the mountains, and Fujiko, I think, and Lupin were gonna like fight while standing on this top of this car, and then Jigen was gonna shoot them or something. Ended up simplifying it a lot, because when it comes to portfolio pieces, I realized you're best off getting something done instead of trying to make a whole feature-length film on your own, because as tempting as that is, if it never gets done, you'll never have something to show, and if you never have something to show, you'll never be able to start getting the resources to work on something bigger. So I think smaller projects are quite a good idea. And here's some of the actual Clip Studio files for that project. You can see how I got that crazy, you know, where the camera follows the missile down. It's this whole giant canvas that my computer is struggling to run. So from a zoomed out perspective, you can see everything really is happening in one big cohesive space. Even if the perspective doesn't always make complete sense, because it does have to flip around at some point here. That blue square is the camera following it down. And then in the next shot, which I assume is a cut away, which will be this one, there's a very quick camera movement, which I stole from a storyboard that the Line made, where, and you see this quite a lot in storyboards, where if you were to pause directly after a cut, what you're looking at doesn't necessarily make sense, because the camera very quickly moves into what you're supposed to be looking at. So this blue square is the camera. What you're actually looking at is a very close cut into this mountainside, and then it quickly moves back into place. And it gives you this feeling of this is the same movement the car is doing, you know, it's coming from behind this cliff, so it's kind of zooming across, and the last shot ended with the car getting very close to the camera, so then you cut to something else being close to the camera, and then you move it to the new context of the new shot. It's very dynamic and cool, and I think there's a lot of really cool things you can do with cinematography. I even did a little bit of movement on that warning sign there, because the camera's getting bigger. You can see this blue square is getting bigger here. The camera's zooming out as the car's getting closer, and so I guess that's to give an extra feeling of depth there. And there was also yet another, I think, pretty cool animation I did with Diva and Roadhog. I need to stop with the Overwatch stuff. I know no one cares about Overwatch, even I don't. I guess, wow, this is an unfinished version. I don't know where the finished thing is. Okay, so I'm struggling to find anything on this computer. But I guess this will be the actual file for the final animation if it ever loads. So instead, I've got this really cool shot where you're really far out and Roadhog's hook is close to the camera, but, you know, it's attached to him, and he pulls him towards itself, and the camera's kind of tracking that, so the camera zooms in very quickly. He builds up, he throws it, the camera goes through his arse, I guess, and then the camera just, you know, clips in front of him, which you can get away with surprisingly frequently. And then instead we're now looking at Diva running towards the camera. She kind of builds up and jumps and just about misses the hook. And then this next shot, Roadhog looks up. She kind of spins around. There's some really ugly frames in here, but it was supposed to be kind of rough and quick. And overall, I think the animation is actually quite fluid and quite cool. And then this shot where she's getting closer to the camera, and you know, the level of detail on her face and that kind of thing changes quite a lot. And then switches to this shot where she kind of blows his face off. So here's the actual final animation, and you know, I think it's pretty dynamic and pretty cool. Like I said, there's a lot of ugly frames. You can see when Diva is charging up to jump here, she's just, you know, two eyes, and there's not really any detail on her face or her hair or anything. But I think the animation itself is quite dynamic, and it's quite a good example of storyboarding for action, which is what it was supposed to be. So overall, quite successful project on that one, I would say. Here's Juno, which I think someone asked me to draw Juno specifically. Here's the smiling friends in the bedroom I had at the time. They actually don't look well rendered or anything, but I wanted to, I don't know, kind of match the light. I think, I'll see if I can find it. I had a reference where I put like a Jigglypuff plush and a bottle of bleach, which was yellow, on the floor to try and get the colors right. But even then, I don't know why I went that far, because I didn't even render them in a way that looks like realistic in any way, so not really sure what my thought process was there. So you can see again the tender love between Pym and Homer still blossoming. This is when I watched Spice and Wolf, the remake. I thought it was okay. There were a lot of times when I realized the animation was kind of rough, but then I went back and watched the original and it was just as rough, even if I prefer the old art style. But I think Hollow is such a cool character. This is one of my stickers, which I guess is more of a 2025 thing. But I got stickers made specifically for Annecy. This is, I guess, Pym and Charlie sleeping together. I don't know how Homer feels about that. Another Spice and Wolf one. I was really proud of this one at the time. Now looking at it, it's kind of whatever. I think maybe it just could have done with a background. If they looked like they were somewhere, maybe it would have been a better drawing. But now I'm looking at it and it's kind of like, yeah. But you know, I like the perspective on Hollow specifically. It's kind of got that dynamic but realistic perspective where you're looking at her head, so her body kind of curves down, and then her feet you're looking down at the feet and they're a lot smaller, but it doesn't feel like a really crazy lens or anything. It just kind of feels like you're maybe a bit taller than Hollow, something like that. So yeah, I guess I was pretty happy with this one. Bulbasaur, love Bulbasaur. That's a pretty good drawing, honestly. I'm definitely more of a black and white drawing kind of person, is what I was going to say. Here is the start of another tangent. So, well, these are also stickers. So I've got the Peach sticker and the Yoshi sticker. They're actually on, wait a minute. Actually on the back of my Switch right there as well. These are the transparent ones, and these are the more opaque ones, because the transparent ones kind of, the sticker itself is a bit transparent and not just the edges. So you kind of lose some color if you put it on a darker surface. But anyway, that's kind of irrelevant. My point is, this was the first drawing that turned into the Mario Kart video I did for the Feet JP channel. But I did this long, you can see, almost 2-hour long Mario Kart video, and it had a lot of effort put into some of the assets I made for it. So let me see if I can find some of that stuff. So the point of this video is it looks at all the Mario Kart games, but the video itself is set up as if it's a Mario Kart game or if it's like a race in a game. So the beginning of the video has a title screen, which is right here. Look at all these layers. I go way overboard with the layers these days. I feel like you can see Charlie's in there because just what I liked doing at the time. It's got the Redline inspired Peach and Yoshi characters, which started off with this. This was just a menu placeholder I made, and I used this picture of Peach because I already had it, and then that just turned into the art style I actually wanted to use for the rest of the video, you know, very Redline inspired. So this is literally the car from Redline. And then you can see Deku Gamer here as well, who was another person who hosted in the video. And I wanted to do this cool thing where not only does... So let me just show it, actually. I wanted to do this cool thing where... So here's the title screen. So that's kind of the opening portion of the video. Then it transitions into now we are a Mario Kart game. So you got the title screen, it's animated and everything. The transitions were inspired by Mario Kart Super Circuit. A lot of... I wanted it to be pixel art, but you can... Like, it's mostly... they'd call it mixels. Like, it's not actually on a pixel art grid. It's just... I just drew it and then used the mosaic tool because I don't know how to do pixel art. But I thought I managed to get across the point I was going for. So you move into the character select screen and it's selecting my character because I'm the one narrating the video. But then this is kind of a precursor to later on, it actually goes to the character select menu again and switches over to Deku Gamer, and then he starts narrating for a bit. So I thought that was really kind of cool and clever, and it took a long time to do this stuff. I'll show some of the Clip Studio files. Then we move into the map select, and the maps are all the cups, are all the categories in the video. So it's the UI, the characters, the items, the carts, and the maps. And I thought that was cool. And then we've got, kind of inspired by the roulette item selection in Mario Kart, it's as if it's selecting the game randomly, but it's not because I had already just scripted it to be a certain way. And then we have all these borders that I've ended up reusing a lot, and this background as well, this scrolling background that I made, pretty much reused it in all the Feat JP videos. It's just kind of something I'm probably going to stick with for now. Let me see if I can find the end of one of these categories and show the score animation I did. That was one of the most tedious things ever. Okay, so here we go. It's going to transition. I wanted to, you see how the border disappeared there? I wanted it to seamlessly transition from parts of the video to this like new context where now the score comes in and every game gets a score depending on where they placed, where I kind of arbitrarily placed them. And then it looks like Mario Kart, it has all the sound effects and everything. And I just thought that was really cool. And it took a long time. And then we switch back to this and we go to the next category. Let me find the bit where we switch to Deku Gamer. So this is the end of the character cup or something like that, and it's, you saw I had the menu pop up where it's like continue change character like the game would, and it looks like it's just an aesthetic thing, which I guess it kind of is, but here it's as if it actually has a function because it's kind of a fake out. It actually switches, you're on next cup and then it switches to change character, and then we go to the character select screen and it scrolls through these characters and goes to Deku Gamer, who's gonna narrate the next section. So listen, I'm pretty proud of that. I thought it was a really cool idea, and we have all these drawings. So the Yoshi and Peach, I think I had already done, so I didn't even make them for this video. All of these smaller ones, I didn't actually draw in this level of detail. I knew I was going to put the mosaic over them anyway, so they were just really low detail. But it hovers over Peach and Yoshi, just to give a sense that you could scroll over these as well, even though you obviously can't, because it's a video, it's not even a game. I thought that picture of Deku Gamer was pretty cool. And then there's also this whole credit section at the end that I put together. Not as much to it, but it did still take quite a long time. My computer really struggles to render this kind of thing, and again, it's inspired by how the Mario Kart games actually look. I thought it was pretty cool. If you have a spare 2 hours to look at Mario Kart stuff, check out that video, I would say. So let me find some of these layers, because I don't think anyone would believe how like crazy I got with this stuff, and it's kind of my own fault for just not understanding what I'm doing. This file is taking a long time to open. So this is why I love Clip Studio Paint, because it's essentially limitless. So you can see here, can I make this play? Clip Studio Paint is not a video editing software. It's for drawing. Like, it's not even really for photo manipulation, although you can do it. That's more like Photoshop's specialty. Clip Studio Paint, well, it was Manga Studio, right? It's for drawing like anime, basically, although you can obviously do more with it. I'm essentially using it as a video editing software here for this video because it's really hard to make something like these UI elements and export them as a transparent video and then put them on top of something else. You can do that. I think it's with AVI 2.0 you can do it, but the colors are always wrong when you do that. So to keep the colors right, instead of making a transparent UI thing and overlaying it over a video, I have the video in Clip Studio Paint and I have the UI on top of it here. I don't think the video is actually playing here, I guess because I probably deleted the original file or something, so it's not gonna work. But you can still see what I did here. So I wanted the impression that this UI is going over the top of the video and it's semi-transparent and it creates this kind of frosted glass effect, but I couldn't actually find a way to do that. So what I ended up doing was actually the exact opposite of this being on top of the video. Instead, you can see this right here is a different, let me unclip it, is a different render of the actual video that I blurred in DaVinci Resolve and then imported into Clip Studio Paint, and then I clipped the video to the results. So it looks like it's a frosted glass effect, even though it's actually on top. And you can see all these numbers are gonna update just like they do in Mario Kart. This is gonna count down and this is gonna count up. And because I had no idea what I was doing, I'm sure there's a much easier way to do this in After Effects or something. I did it frame by frame as if it's a frame by frame animation, and you can see all these layers that are applied to different frames. So 2 and then +7 and 3 and +6, and I just did this frame by frame, and this section shows up 5 or 6 times and I had to make sure the numbers are right. There's so many strange workarounds I had to do. For example, there's this bit where when the numbers finish adding up, you can see it kind of twists around to update the actual positions of everything. And that was really complicated. So instead of it flipping, which it does kind of look like it's flipping in real time, I don't even know if this is going to be able to play. I don't know if my computer can render this in real time. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So you could see why this was so hard, because I could barely even look at what I was doing in real time. I had to wait 30 minutes for everything to render before I could even see it. Basically, it just gets thinner and then it gets bigger again, and that makes it look like it's flipped. And then obviously at the point where it's at its smallest, or when it disappears here, the icon and the name, so I assume Mario Kart like DS here is going to change. No, it's not. They're all in the same positions. Why are they all in the same positions? Maybe this is an older version of the file or something. And then you can see when you like put it all together, it does kind of work, and it looks very seamless and easy, but there's so many layers and things going into this. They all flip around, and I even put in the little like, did it go up or down, or did it stay in the same position? And I had to check this stuff over so many times. Again, look at all these layers. Like, I think this like sparkly effect is also a whole nother video doing its own thing. And here's the character select screen. I don't even remember how I did this, but you can see all of these green boxes are like are keyframes for movement. So again, my computer's really going to struggle to run this, but you can see just so many things on different keyframes to move at different times to have it just look right and to have it be dynamic. And the fact you can do all of this in Clip Studio Paint, which is not primarily a video editing software, I think it's crazy. Like, just the way it's set up gives you infinite possibilities, and there's so much going on in these layers, just endless folders within folders. I guess this background, this Mario Kart scrolling background, was actually made for these menus. That's interesting. I forgot about that, because now it's like a default thing I do in all my videos. But the actual context was that it was for this, I guess. So that's the Mario Kart video. That was one of the bigger projects I did last year for sure. I slaved away on that video for 2 months straight. I didn't leave my house, and I actually felt like weak and awful by the time it was done. But in terms of video editing, it's kind of my magnum opus right now, I would say. Definitely the closest thing I've ever made to a feature-length film, because it kind of is, to be fair. His cat from Gravity Rush, this is another sticker. I didn't realize how much of the stuff I drew in 2024 became my stickers. Considering I made the stickers like a year after I drew all of this. I did change it. I doubt you'll be able to see it. She's not a Pokemon trainer anymore in this version. She's just holding an apple. which was kind of an easy change because I mean, look at it. This was supposed to be her in the Pokemon style, which I think kind of worked. I think it's kind of cute. I quite like the Pokemon style. You can see here's the Yoshi design that I ended up using in the video, and some of the little pixel art guys. Awesome looking SpongeBob. I just love drawing characters looking really ugly and terrible. This is Wanya from Da 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 slash UFO Baby, if anyone on the planet has seen that except me. Love how they're just like touching eyes, and how Bart's just having a great time. And here's my Wallace and Gromit phase. I think there was a video of someone doing a really good impression of Wallace going cracking weed, Gromit, and I just wanted to illustrate that and bring it into the world. You'll notice Wallace is just a Chad right here, but Gromit's kind of not sure, but he's gonna come around, as you'll see in one of the future drawings. This is a drawing I did for my sister. I'll see if I can find the actual thing. But this is all the pets we've had growing up, and my idea was to have them printed on, like, walking around a mug. I thought that would be, like, a good Christmas present, and I ended up spending quite a long time on all of these. So here's Socky and Shady. Maybe I should try and find pictures of how they actually, like, photos of them, how they actually looked, so you can compare. These ones I put a lot more effort into than the rest because they're, like, tabby cats, and the actual markings I realized were quite important to get their look across. You can see I used some lighting here to try and create more contrast between them, so Socky would pop out from Shady instead of this dark area blending into one. Shady always had this like really evil stare, so I tried to include that a bit, but still make him look happy. I didn't want them to look sad or anything. Here's Benjamin Barker. Here's the little guinea pigs. I figured it's funnier if I just leave them really low detail. I thought that was cool. Here's Star looking happy. Ziggy looking mad. I gave her kind of like cheekbones, like she's old, because she was always really old. Well, she wasn't always really old, but she was old when she was old, which was most of my life. She lived like 20. And here's Goldie, who, you know, a little bit of a... I realized that like bump on her cheek was like kind of important, and her ribs were kind of important because she was a lurcher. So yeah, I spent a quite long time with these, and overall I think they are quite a good likeness. And here's the Gromit picture I promised. As you can see, Gromit's well into it now. I thought it was funny. This is like a Snapchat that they're sending is the idea, and I've never used Snapchat, but I know it has like the miles per hour thing, and I just thought it was really funny to have to just stamp 0 miles per hour on there. In my mind, it's like it's almost like it's their brainwaves at 0 miles per hour, something like that. So I just thought that was funny. And you know, sometimes things get a little crazy as well. I remember this is when we had pitch week at university, and it was horrible. We were in this room doing these short film pitches, which I guess is something I also did in 2024, so we'll get into that too. But we'd go into like a church that just smelled like old people, if I'm being honest. And I remember, because I was barely sleeping, I kept getting like nosebleeds that week, or like that 3-day period as well. And when I'd get home, I would just draw. My drawings got a little bit weirder than usual, because I just wanted to let loose a little bit. Here's a picture of Homer shitting himself, because I thought that was funny. Homer just eating a real pale sandwich. And you know, sometimes you come up with these things like Homer but his body as a hand. Like, who comes up with that? But I think it's actually kind of cool. I feel like I could do something with that. I also have a thing about like blue Pikmin like smoking weed for some reason. I think it's a really funny concept because they're the only ones who have a mouth. Some worms, I guess. This is a worm. Homer's eating worms. Here's I think this was a character I made in the Monster Hunter Rise demo or something. I don't remember. This was a drawing I just did like off the cuff. Like, this was a wake up, just draw something drawing, but I actually really like it to this day. This is another sticker. I like that drawing. I think it's really cute. I cleaned it up a lot for the sticker version. I also forgot to mention I got my cats made into stickers as well, because I figured people like cats, and I thought that was a good drawing too. This version, you know, it's got something. It's got Kirby, it's got SpongeBob. Some cool perspective going on, and yeah, I thought that was a fun drawing. Another fun drawing of just a beautiful, beautiful family. Floyd Jack Homer. I think this one's good. I don't think anyone's ever reacted to this one in a positive way, but I thought it was funny. Oh, this Lupin one. You know, I was happy with this at the time. I still think it's like a cool looking thing, but his face, it doesn't look like Lupin. Like, he's got like, Lupin's supposed to have a way longer face, and I feel like I didn't really make it look like him. I think Fujiko looks pretty much exactly right. But Lupin, not so much. But the composition and the colors, I don't know where I got this idea from to do it like this, but I think it looks really cool, and I was gonna do more of these, and I just didn't. I probably should. I think that's a cool drawing with a cool composition. And then we get back to whatever this is. Here's a bit of a self-portrait of me looking lonely, wishing I was Homer Simpson, I guess. Can let me know if that looks like me, I guess. And here's another one. That's strange because I've like never drawn myself, but I guess I did it 2 days in a row here. Me at the bar with Homer. Maybe this is where Pim and Homer meet. I guess I got back to that story of Pim and Homer. And Homer's going to become consistently more naked going forwards, I think, in these drawings. I couldn't tell you why. A little IKEA alien peed himself or something. So that's it for the PNGs folder, but there's definitely going to be more things hiding around. Let me look in my university archives. There's going to be some stuff I definitely can't show. So this is all university stuff from 2024. These obviously aren't drawings. I did not take university very seriously a lot of the time. The way they made us do life drawing and stuff, I thought was just a bunch of crap. They were like, you know, pretend you're the paintbrush and put the paintbrush, tie it to a ruler so you can't properly control it. It felt like the whole thing, instead of being about learning, it was about minimizing people feeling bad about their art. So there was no learning. It was just making people draw bad things to like experiment, which I just thought was a waste of time, and I hated it. And I very frequently just ended up drawing random crap instead of doing proper life drawings. Wait, was this 2024 as well? Let me check. 2020. This was middle of. Wow. Okay, so I was working on a little series I was trying to make called After Sky in 2024, and I guess I spent a lot of time on this. This is as far as I got, I guess, but it's just not good. Like, look at that drawing. It fucking sucks, if I'm being honest. This is good. I don't want to show too much of this, because I tried really hard with the script, but it's just embarrassing. Like, it's just stupid. I was really winging a lot of things. A little bit of a cat animation. You know, kind of cool, I guess. There's 2 cars at the beginning here. Can you see the red line? Yeah, so this is the back of the car from Redline. Or actually, no, I guess it's not. I think this is a car that says Redline on it, but it's a Jensen Interceptor or something like that, probably. And then, but this next one is like a Fiat 500 based on Lupin III's car. There's some cool ideas in this. I guess I'll just show it. What do I have? What do I have? Is this the whole thing? This is 4 seconds long. It's hard, because like sometimes you just need to push through and get something done, even if you think it might not be the best. And sometimes you need to know when to stop and be like, okay, I've learned enough from this and I know it's not good enough, and I'll just start over again with something new. I tried to do some cool stuff with colors, but it's just not. I wanted it to have like a cool style or something, but like the actual project itself is just stupid and crap. And I don't know, I kind of like this character a bit, but she needs to be an actual character. I think the characters were both so bland and didn't really have anything going on, and I tried to simplify everything because the aim was to get it done, so I wanted to keep things simple, but it just didn't work. I just really needed to come up with something more interesting and unique, and characters worth caring about, I think was really important to do. But I got some cool like background drawings out of it. You know, I definitely learned some things about perspective and line art and just putting a project together through a lot of this stuff. So here's the basic animatic. I'm not going to show too much of it because again, it is pretty bad, but there's some, I learned some things. This was a cool, this scrolling background. The colors are kind of ruining it. I did like color blocking or something. But this background where it's like is that a 5-point perspective? It's like a fisheye lens. Camera looks one way, then looks the other way. I definitely learned a lot of things working on this, even if it sucks and I'm not going to be working on it again. Now, the other much better project I was working on in 2024 was my pitch for my university short film, which didn't go through, but I think I had some cool ideas that did end up kind of turning into something. And some of this is from 2025, so I'll save that for next time. But we'll look at the stuff from 2024, the kind of early ideas that I had. So I wanted to make like a concept art or a box art, which kind of encapsulated all of what I wanted this pitch to be. You know, I know Miyazaki does that. I remember the documentary where he's working on Ponyo. He does a bunch of paintings, and then he does this one painting, and it's like, okay, that's the film, this one painting. So I wanted to do something like that. And this was my original idea, this one, and then I made a new one, which I thought was way better. So I worked on that instead, and here was the final drawing. I can actually go through. I remember she was facing the other way. Oh, she had like legs, and I just kept making changes because, you know, just improving it and finishing it off. And, you know, I think this is a cool drawing. This is another sticker. She's actually on my tablet right there. one of my stickers. This is my character MC, meaning because she's the main character, she's the MC, but it's also inspired by hip-hop and that kind of thing. And obviously a very Jet Set Radio style going on here. And then here's the actual animatic for the first version. I ended up changing this a lot. So this year, or like a few months ago, I did finish the storyboard for a scene from this, but it's been completely rewritten, completely changed. I really wanted to direct a short film at university, and in the end, I'm glad I didn't. At the time, I really wanted to appease to what I thought the staff at the university wanted, so I had like, they were saying like, oh, take inspiration from pre-existing stories. So I used like Rapunzel as like, there's like a girl in the tower, and then this character's going to save the character in the tower, but then like, both the characters, her and the character she's saving are actually the same person, so it's like she's saving herself. It's kind of a mess, and it kind of lost its focus. I feel like I ended up making it like a Mission Impossible heist film. So she's kind of she's a graffiti artist, but she's trying to graffiti like the most impossible, difficult to reach places, and to do that she has to like sneak in or whatever. But because she's like this abrasive character, she's actually not sneaky at all, and she just goes in there and like beats everyone up. That's the new idea, and I'm kind of working on it, but I kind of think the specific story of her breaking into this tower and it's this whole like thing, I think this probably just needs to go. The reason it's called You're My Rock, which I realized I actually didn't even mention, is because it was a completely different story, because I just thought it would be funny to make a story about a character, so this character here, who like falls in love with a rock. Like this bird like drops a rock on her head, and she like falls in love with the rock, and so it's called You're My Rock. That was my concept, but I just didn't want to do that. I thought it was really boring. I didn't want to do a love story. That's not what people, I think, expected from me. Like, I just wanted to do like a cool Jet Set Radio kind of style thing, and so I just threw this away, and then I kept the You're My Rock name, and that's part of why I think it became a bit messy. But it just is what it is at this point. Here's the development of the You're My Rock logo, which I think is kind of cool. Like, this is the final one here. It was this, and then I remember I pressed invert. Let me recreate that experience. I was looking at it and I was like, maybe I'll just invert it, and then I was like, oh wait, well that doesn't work. Never mind. So I inverted it to be white text with a black outline, and I thought it looked way better. I love how this looks. Obviously, this pretty much directly inspired by Jet Set Radio. Colors from this. And here's the final logo, which I think is pretty cool. I did make a few changes. Let me see if I can find. So I think this is the final version. You can see I asked one of my friends if they could actually read it with the crazy graffiti style going on, and they thought it said Your ML Rock because of this, which is fair enough. So I made some changes. I made the Y thicker, and I made the Y more obvious, and a few other changes. I kind of nitpicked this quite a lot, but I think it's a cool logo. I'm quite happy with it. And I think I will continue to use it. I think I will do stuff with You're My Rock and with this character, but it's kind of dormant for a little while. Again, next time I'll show the stuff I've worked on this year and changes I've made. It's way better now, and I do plan on doing stuff with it. But in terms of story, there's going to be a lot of rewriting, I think, and applying the changes I made to just a better, more interesting context. And again, some stuff I forgot to show. Here's some character design stuff. Tried a few different things, but with the main character, I kind of knew what I wanted from the beginning. I didn't really change her that much, and I had this funny idea where, like, because she has these big glasses covering her eyes all the time, like maybe she takes them off at the end and she actually has like these ridiculous eyebrows. Like, I don't know, I thought maybe that would be kind of funny. Size comparisons, that kind of thing, that would have been useful if this did get turned into an actual film. It was kind of like 1984 inspired, so there was a lot of screens with eyes watching everyone at all times. This big tower. I went to London and took a picture of a bunch of tall buildings and kind of used those as inspiration. I also went to Tokyo and the Asakusa Skytree. Like, it almost makes you feel dizzy how big that thing is, especially compared to the just completely blue sky with no clouds when I was there. So I wanted to take some inspiration from that as well. And then these characters are basically exactly copied from Dead Leaves, I think it is. Basically the exact same thing, I just stole them. So the last thing would be probably the graduation film I worked on, which I'm not going to get too into this because it actually, you know, involves people I'm friends with and stuff like that, and real life events. And I'm not allowed to show the film itself because of like film festivals want exclusivity, and I'm not going to ruin that for everyone else by showing more than I'm supposed to show. But I'll show some of the stuff that I worked on that just didn't even get used, so it's not even really relevant. Here's some rough storyboarding for the film. It's like a horror film, and this guy like kills his son, or he doesn't, or something. To this day, I don't even know what the film's about. I thought it was a fucking piece of shit, but here's some early storyboard concepts I did where it opens with him like killing a cow or something, and I wanted to implement real life events. So because it was set in like the early 2000s, I looked up stuff that we could use because he was like a farmer. So I was like, oh, there's like foot and mouth disease was the thing, so we'll use that, and we'll have like he'll kill a cow because of that, and that will be like the beginning of the killing, and it helps us establish a weapon that's in the house that we can use later on. All of this got cut in the end. In the film, he just like picks up an axe at the end and then maybe does or doesn't do anything. Here are some concepts I did for the environments. So here's the kitchen, vaguely inspired by like stuff that I've seen in real life. Not that I've ever had a kitchen this big or anything, but like the oven. This is what my mum's oven still looks like the oldest thing ever with like the grill on top. Yeah, I thought some of these drawings were pretty decent. I definitely use these like layer mode effects as kind of a crutch sometimes, and I think that's not the best way to do it because the way they look is completely different depending on context, and it's better to just actually understand the color that you're using. But I did use them quite a lot. Here's some car concepts I did to show the disparity in wealth between two of the different characters. You know, I thought that would be interesting. This is directly inspired by my dad's Rover that he had when I was younger. Didn't end up in the film. Actually, I think I did sneak the dad's car in there. Here is another environment I did, and we ended up changing the time of day for this shot, so different colors. Some drawings of some of the characters, some of the props, some ideas, concept for the house from the outside. You can see I did sneak the car in there. Here's kind of a cool shot I did. This is one of the opening shots. Obviously this is quite rough. Ended up cleaning this up a lot. But it's like this fisheye lens looking into the living room, and then the dad characters here, and it's kind of supposed to make you uncomfortable. It's a way to open a horror film with cinematography that makes you feel kind of on edge, was the idea. And here's the line art for that earlier version. Here's another version of that shot. This is the first one. This is basically how we established the art style, is I just drew this and everyone was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Because up until this point, no one knew what the film was supposed to look like. And to be honest, I don't think people knew what the film was supposed to look like even when it was finished. But bedrooms and stuff that ultimately didn't get used. There's a dad and his like wife is dead. And so with this, what I did was instead of putting the bedroom in the middle, I kind of created this contrast of this is her space and it's much bigger and more open and happier, and then this is his space and it's very cramped and sad and kind of messy despite how small it is. And you know, he'd wake up and probably just face the wall, and because she's missing, he's very depressed. And you know, I thought that was a cool shot. I thought that was a good way to communicate, you know, there's something missing, and that instead of having it centered and having it be even, there's all this missing space, like 2/3 of the screen just like will be empty with her stuff in it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Another early concept of the kitchen, we have the dad always sits here, and then we have like this gun on the wall, and it's kind of, you know, the knives behind him in the oven, and the idea is that he's in danger and there's dangerous things pointed at him, and I thought that was quite cool. So those are the highlights of a year's worth of drawing stuff. I'm not going to show absolutely everything because there's just no need, and there's some stuff I just can't show, but yeah, that's a lot of it. And you know, I think I covered a good range of things in this year. I did a lot of drawings, like daily finished, more rough drawings. I did a lot of animation, I did storyboarding. I think I did quite a lot of different things. I did life drawings, although I really wasn't trying that hard. Now I'm much more focused on high quality videos for the other channel and storyboarding, which you'll notice there wasn't a ton of in this year, but doing like this project and learning more about Toon Boom, now I'm much more experienced with Storyboard Pro, for example, and I've been using that a lot. And so if I do a 2025 video, there'll be a lot of Storyboard Pro stuff. But I think I did quite a lot, and there's definitely a lot more to show next time as well. So yeah, that's about it, and bye.